But Carl Conyers, what were your biggest takeaways of the divisional around playoffs?
I think well, the Josh Allen is always going to be big in terms of him, firing McDermott and just the game that Josh Allen played. Like the fumble before the half was insane. Completely no reason for it. I get that, Superman, you got to do a lot, but there's definitely, of course, always doing too much. And there was like, I think maybe less than 30 seconds. You don't have any timeouts. You're trying to go the whole length of the field. It just didn't make sense to do something dumb. I get being aggressive, trying to go for it, but and because I've seen some people try and pin that somehow on the coach, and I'm like, I mean, I guess he called the play, but he didn't tell Josh Allen to go and throw the ball in the air and do, a bunch of crazy stuff. So, um, I was surprised at how he played. I really was. And again, knowing that the way that things have looked in the past couple of years, this seems like this was his shot. Like
Yeah,
all the guys that keep beating you or all the direct, really good competition. Like he's demonstrably better than everybody but Stafford. And I think he's better than Stafford. I just don't think he's like demonstrably better than Stafford. But
yeah,
all these quarterbacks left, like he was clearly the best one, and it still just didn't really matter. Of course it's a team sport as well, but I think they win that game. I mean, it went to overtime, so I think they win that game if he has two less turnovers.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's tough, and it's even more tough now because the Broncos kind of look like they're probably not going to make it past this next round because their quarterback breaks his ankle at the very end of that game. So,
That's crazy.
um, yeah, that's a really big takeaway for me too. Is like I was excited to see the Broncos in the next stage, and now
Yeah,
it just kind of derailed their entire season at one of the most critical points, which is tragic, especially when the NFL. It's as we see with this year's playoffs. There's no guarantee that you're going to make it here again next year. Um, that's tough, but I think for me the biggest thing is CJ Stroud, like coming
mm,
out of this weekend. I know me and you were talking about it. I don't think a year ago, definitely not 2 years ago, but even a year ago, nobody would have been like, "Hey, I would have rather had Sam Darnold quarterbacking this Texans team than CJ Stroud." I think Sam Darnold would have got this win because I don't think Sam Darnold would have turned the ball over 80 times in two playoff games. He looked shook, he looked shell-shocked. There's just no, hiding it, no doubt about it. It wasn't like, and I saw an analyst kind of compare it to Trevor Lawrence when he had his playoff debut. He threw those three first half picks, but then, came back and won the game. But even when he was playing like shit, throwing three picks in the first half, he was mad, but he wasn't like, I look like a sad puppy or something like that, like, and I think that's just a huge difference. And when you start looking sad and down on yourself like that as an athlete, especially as a quarterback, it's usually over. At least for
yeah.
like that game. I don't, we'll see afterwards. But yeah, it was sad, honestly, to see him have the rookie year that he had. And it just feels like he's still just chasing that success and hasn't come anywhere close. It'd be one thing if you were like, okay, you know, you might not average those numbers again, but at least if you were come close to it or anything like that, and he just hasn't. Um, and so I'm very interested to see what the next year or two holds for CJ because if he, has another average year or, something like this, I think it's very much on the board that he could be out of a job or at least out of Houston. He might find a job somewhere else. But just a really stunning fall for a guy who hasn't dealt with any big injuries or anything like that. Um, and just letting that defense, I mean, that's the best defense I've seen in maybe 7, 8 years or something like that. Like it was insane. The fact that they were even still in that game, the fact that it was a 12-point game with all the things that CJ Stroud did, is just a testament to how insane it is. So it sucks seeing, it is you got to play both sides of the ball and they didn't get anything from their offense. So I feel bad for them, but yeah, that I'm very interested to see what's going to happen in this next year or so of CJ's career.
Yeah, bro. I don't know. Yeah, I shit. Cause you can't. Cause has he? I don't think he's gotten paid yet, right? He's still in his rookie contract deal, right?
I think so.
So if you're still in your rookie contract deal, one, you're gonna fuck up the bag. Two, you may be a backup for the rest of your career. So for them to essentially know they have a small window before they have to decide to move on from you or pay you, and they're investing all these resources because it's not like you're deprived of weapons on an offensive standpoint. Granted, there was injury, the injuries are a part of the game, especially in that game as well too. But it's like your defense, like you said, like as bad as you played, you guys had so many chances. All you had to do was play a clean game, you know what I'm saying, and try to get at least 3 points on the field every possession. But he couldn't even take care of that. Like you said, he looked mentally shot, and like you said, when you're mentally cooked, nothing is gonna go your way. So shout out to Drake May doing what he was supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Bouncing back from last week to this week. And, didn't necessarily start off the best, but he took care of business. So I got to show him some love. And to see the Patriots just kind of have a turnaround from winning 4 games, I believe, last year to being to having the chance to, not only get the number 1 seed, but win their division, and now they're representing. We're going or soon to be. Who knows? But it's looking like they're going to represent the AFC when it's all said and done. I gotta give flowers to them and to Mike Vrabel for really turning that team around to what we kind of grew up being used to. You know what I'm saying? So I think they can definitely continue this level of success. Bo Nix, man, like you said, it's kind of sad to see because I'm actually, even from I saw him a little bit in Oregon, and followed him, especially last year. He kind of put me on notice. I was like, all right, this guy's kind of good. He's going with the legendary Sean Payton, and Sean Payton had him ready. They were the number 1 pass defense. Obviously, we turned he turned the ball over once against us, and we kind of strapped him up for the most part of third quarter and a little bit of fourth. But then when he needed to make the throws, he did, and Josh didn't. So, like you said, like I'm happy for him and Sean Payne to kind of take care of business, but it's like, damn, y'all sacrificed all that. So now we got to see Jared Stidham go up against the New England Patriots in Foxborough, or it's going to be even colder. And he hasn't really got that many reps, so it's going to be interesting to see how that happens. And I forgot Stidham was a backup a little bit for New England, obviously. Completely different team, but I still believe at least the offensive coordinator was still there. So that's going to be interesting to see how all that pans out. Got to show love, outside of you even saying like the Texans defense looks elite, the Seahawks defense looks very elite as well too. Obviously, they say you're only as strong as your weakest soldier, but damn, a lot of soldiers was gone for the 49ers. So you definitely need to be healthy or as healthy as you can be going into the playoffs. But shout out to the 49ers to win these amount of games and still be in the playoffs and still have a chance to compete for even the number 1 seed. So next year, I think they're gonna continue what they've done. That's a great organization as well too. And like you said, man, Caleb Williams, man, I wanna give a little bit of love to Caleb Williams. I think he has a bright future ahead of him. He definitely has that clutch gene. Like I told you, he can be inaccurate as a motherfucker. And then for some reason, when when that signal, that bat signal come out, he performs. Obviously, ended on him, turning the ball over. It looks like him and his wide receiver had miscommunication, but that's going to come with time. So I think he can definitely, continue to progress, develop more pocket awareness, be a little bit more accurate, and get to a point where he can kind of read defenses. So I like what the Bears doing, and I think them with your team, Detroit Lions, that division in general is gonna definitely be a good division, competing with one another for that divisional spot as well too. And then yeah, man, upset as a Bills fan, heartbroken, heartbroken. Like you said, at the end of the day, you got to put most of the blame on Josh Allen. And like you said, it's so shocking because you've talked about this at least from like the regular season standpoint, where you get the Josh Allen experience, where he can kind of have this mindset that he has to do it all, and then he can turn the ball over, whether it's an interception or a fumble, but he has the chance to kind of overcome it. And the thing is, in the playoffs, he plays like Superman and plays a clean game. Like they're showing all these stats these past 2 weeks. He's the first quarterback to do this, first quarterback to do that. He's ranked this, ranked that. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like if anything, our defense is gonna let us down or something else is gonna happen. But he was the person to blame. 4 turnovers, like you said, like knowing that moments like this come so like very often is just like you gotta take care of the football. You know what I'm saying? So that fumble, like you said, like you can blame coaching as well too, because I in my head I'm like, yo, these niggas gonna need a ball, and I was like, oh, like where are you going? And then he starts running in real time, like, all right, Josh doing Josh thing, maybe trying to get a field goal or some shit like that. But even how he was running the ball and wailing his shit, I was like, nigga, what are you doing? Slot, do something.
That's
So
insane.
that kind of blew me. Going down seven to now going down 10 to 2 possessions. He missed Dawson Knox where he could have essentially ended the game, and we, had the field goal to go to overtime as well too. James Cook fumbled the ball, and the thing is like one of the things that we kind of get they talk about a lot is like the defense always lets them down, but even though they technically let them down when it was all said and done, when it was overtime, we deferred. They got ball first, got a three and out. Now it's like, all right, bro, like this is what we paid you for. This is why we think that most of us can kind of come to a conclusion, at least in the playoffs itself. Or right now, you're the best quarterback. So, um, we shouldn't even be talking about was it a fumble? Was it interception? Was it not? This and this and this and that. Because like you said earlier, if you play a clean game, we shouldn't even get to this position in general. So now, Sean McDermott had to pay the ultimate price and be the fall guy. But it is what it is. There's always next year, but next year, those people we say who ain't gonna be there. So it's gonna be much harder. You know what I'm saying? So time waits for no man. But overall, solid. Divisional round, and hopefully, I know NFC side gonna be solid. We're gonna talk about this a little later. NFC side gonna be solid, but hopefully, AFC game is somewhat respectable. We'll see.